YouTube.
Hi guys, I'm Victoria Gracie.
And I'm Eve Gracie.
And we are here for Women Empowered Wednesdays on our YouTube channel, where we gather weekly to discuss all of life's intricacies and challenges and find ways that we can improve and thrive.
Here we are. What are we covering this week? Confidence, cultivating confidence. So I have a question for you guys. I'm curious to see what people think about confidence, what they think it actually is. So I would love if you guys would write what you think your definition of confidence is. When you think of confidence, what do you think? You can write, it can be one word, it can be a sentence, it can be anything, but I'm curious as to what you guys are thinking here. I'm gonna get real close so I can see these Instagram comments, because I think that there's different ways to think about confidence. There's different definitions, and I'm just curious what you guys think.
What do you think confidence is? What is it for you? What is it for someone else? How is it perceived societally, personally? Having fear, but moving forward regardless. Yes, Amanda. I love that.
Having fear, but moving forward regardless.
Intelligence.
Intelligence
can be very much linked to intelligence. Yes.
Confidence is being strong and empowered.
Beautiful. Self-assured in an uncocky way.
Truly loving yourself, not changing who you are for others. I love it.
Belief in myself that I am good enough.
Self-love.
Conviction that I'll turn out okay.
I love it.
I like that.
Believing in yourself.
Speaking up. That's beautiful. Confidence is speaking up.
I love it. So I actually looked it up because I didn't even know.
Well, we love your definitions. We're going to go to Merriam-Webster for a moment and discuss specifically how they have deduced it.
Being open to others and your beliefs. I love it. So you guys all, and I think this is what's beautiful about confidence is it means something different to everyone. So we're going to even talk about those meanings, and we are even going to kind of create some separation in terms of what we're going to cover today. But according to the dictionary, and this is actually, I'll call it Google because I don't even know if this is the real dictionary definition. Confidence is a feeling of self-assurance arising from one's appreciation of one's own abilities or qualities. And self-confidence is a feeling of trust in one's abilities, qualities, and judgment.
Stephanie, you kind of mentioned that after we were reading all of them. Yours came in late, but it was very close.
Yes, from
to the precise
yourself,
definition.
Sourcing your value from yourself instead of others, and trusting your assessment of yourself while being willing to grow. So I think a big part of it is trust, right? Trusting in ourselves, believing in ourselves. And what we wanted to, before we start this conversation, we felt like it was important because we were even going over these definitions. What does it actually mean? And what are we trying to accomplish today in our discussion? And there is a difference between confidence and self-worth.
And the difficulty is they get enmeshed and they do overlap like a beautiful Venn diagram. They share a lot of space in both of our ideas of what it is, our feelings of what it can be. And when we deal with that overlap, it can also be kind of confusing. So for the purpose of this conversation and the explanations of our approaches and implementable ideas, we would like to discern them for today.
And I think that's important because, again, what we're going to accomplish, what we're going to talk about today in terms of these strategies and tips for confidence building cannot necessarily be applied for if you are on the journey for self-worth or even true self-love. So one could be labeled confident, we'll say, and let's just think of an example. So I'm sure you all, especially you on Instagram, right, are following somebody that you watch and you go, wow, that person is extremely confident. Either they, display their body in confident ways, or they can speak so eloquently and they're so confident in the subject matter that they're talking on. Or, you watch a TED Talk, you're like, wow, that person exudes so much confidence. What we can't see from the confidence that they're exuding is how much do they love themselves at the end of the day?
How much do they value their own existence without those external accolades or the confident capability to do things proficiently?
And it's important to know that there's a difference, because if we enmesh the two, then there can be a lot of confusion for people. when you say, wait a minute, I feel really confident in this one pillar or in this one area. I feel a lot of confidence here. But why is it that at the end of the day, when I, come back to myself, I am feeling this lack and this belief that I am not good enough or not enough.
Or you feel empty or unworthy, or you sit in a place of not feeling connected to things around you. This is the huge difference between confidence and self-worth.
And just to be clear, somebody could have an idea of self-worth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also be confident. Somebody could have self-worth and actually not really have that much confidence. They might say, I am completely comfortable in my skin. I love myself. But at the end of the day, I'm terrified to go talk to my boss about this promotion, right? There can be, you can have one without the other, right? Or you can have the confidence, like we said, without the feeling of self-worth and self-love. So they are not, they're mutually exclusive. They can exist on their own or together. Mm-hmm. And today we're going to focus mostly on confidence. But before we do, we need to talk about, if we're talking about building confidence, think of it as if you're building a bridge. We're building a bridge to confidence. What are the things that could get in the way? We could give you all the tools you need, the bricks that you're going to need, all the tools, all the equipment. And as you start to build that bridge, what are the things that would basically make you fail even with all the right equipment?
And how do we know that even building that confidence, it's not just a fake confidence? So we discern self-worth and confidence. But now let's deconstruct confidence even more, because it's one thing to be very confident and capable in the things that you're doing. And it's another thing to lie to yourself and to people around you and go, I can do this. I got this. Yeah, I've got this. I'm confident in this. But you're really denying yourself that is even how you feel about the situation. So confidence stems from the actual belief that you can do it and the ability to do it, and that they actually line up together. Or you don't know if you can do it, but you're willing to go forward anyways, and you're confident that you can hit the ground running without being sure if it'll pan out how you want. But the fake confidence is, I got this, to the point where you almost diminish others because you don't know if you can do it.
And it's important to think about those people in your life where you go, God, they're so arrogant, or they're so cocky, or they're overly confident, right? The question is, are they? Do they truly have confidence? Or maybe they have confidence, and again, they don't have that feeling of self-worth or self-love. So when there is a huge gap there, I would say the bigger the gap between self-love or self-worth and self-confidence, right? Or perceived confidence, the bigger that gap is, it's almost like the more problems can arise, right? And it might even be that you're chasing this kind of external confidence or this display of expression of confidence so much, and you think that that's going to feed back into your self-worth and your love for yourself. And it never does. And so you just keep climbing and climbing and climbing. And the further this gap goes, the actually harder that is, because you go, why is it that I'm so capable over here and feeling successful and feeling confident over here, but then when it comes at the end of the day, I'm down here? And that gap can create a lot of issues. And that's where we see a lot of this kind of fake confidence, which again, we're going to talk later. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of fake confidence when you need it, right?
Yes.
But
strategic fake confidence.
Right. Strategic fake confidence, not just this inherent fake confidence that's really masking something else, something deeper.
And I want to give some grace to those who have felt many times that they've had to fake a certain amount of confidence, again, which we will actually use as one of our techniques in the future that we will discuss right now. But a lot of the reasons why people have come to find this fake confidence is honestly a survivability, whether it's the survival of our ego, our self-esteem, our place in our social circles, our place in our families. We really give a lot of grace to why we've built this faux confidence as well, I can do this thing. I swear. You're almost trying to convince yourself that you can do it. And that's where we want to help discern even the inner conflict. It's okay to say, actually, I can't. And that is actually true confidence, to own what it is you truly are and aren't capable of, and sit with that and say, I can't, but I'm willing to learn. So that's part of our difference of fake confidence versus real confidence. And we love to help nurture the most real confidence we can in each of you and in ourselves. But before we do that, we want to really know what is going to keep us from cultivating the most sustainable and deeply rooted confidence possible.
Right. And it's like almost like we need to get those out of the way so that we have this beautiful foundation to start building on. But if our foundation feels faulty, or if the tools that we're using aren't as good as we think they are, or if as you're building this bridge to confidence, you have somebody lodging bricks at your thing and toppling it down, it's going to be challenging. It's going to be challenging to build that confidence. So what are these things? What are these obstacles that can get in the way that we need to talk about first, and kind of handle those first before we start talking about building our confidence and cultivating it? The first one to address is simply our foundation as a human. And this really comes from, we'll say, both nurture and nature, right? There's always a crossover there, nurture and nature. So there is no doubt that there are children, we've seen this from our own kids, right, that come out of the womb and like they just have a confidence about them, right? Yeah. They are just like willing to take on, challenges, and there is some nature to that where people just have certain personality traits even. And that is something to consider, is people all have different personalities. Now, here's something that I think is worth mentioning, is that we often get labeled at a very young age based on these personality traits or these kind of things that we might feel like are nature, right? We come out a certain way. And then from a very young age, we are then labeled with those traits. And in my purposes, and I talked about this last week, but for me, it was shyness. You are very shy. And I was shy in many, many interactions. But I appreciate that my parents did not hold me to that shyness for the rest of my life. It didn't become my label forever, my identity. But it was definitely a part of my personality and still continues to be at times. Now, it's important to note that somebody can be shy or perhaps introverted and still be confident. And it's really important to make sure that we can have both. So we're not asking anyone to change their nature, to change who you are as a person to become more confident. That is going to be a part of you. And it doesn't matter what your nature is, you can build confidence from that starting point. It's just important to recognize that for some people, there will be some obstacles that are harder than others based on their personality traits, but they are all overcomable. And we are not telling anyone to change who you are at your core in order to become quote unquote confident. Everyone can accomplish this and achieve this.
Yes. And in this foundation that she's also talking about with personality traits, we also have childhood experiences. This could include trauma, abuse, neglect, over criticism in ways that you're just learning. So we have to understand that as a child, we are absorbing the environment and the emotional sensitivities around us. And with this, we learn, are we safe? Are we happy? Am I okay? Can I fully be who I want to be? Can I fully express, or will I be told to quiet down?
Can I take risks, and will I be safe if I take risks?
Yeah. So alternatively to Eve, I was told that I was too much. My energy was bouncing off the walls. I never stopped talking. I literally would not shut up. And my parents made that so clear to me. Victoria, you're too much. Oh my gosh, you're too much, too much, too much. I always had something to say, and I was always asking questions. My curiosity was through the roof. And all of our parents find different coping mechanisms based on their personal experiences on how to deal with children who are either shy, too much, or any other variation of human that comes through. But for me, I realized, wow, this absorption of what we intake cultivates a certain idea of what we think we can be. And for some are told that being confident is not okay, because the more I'm boisterous and voiceful, the more I get told I should just go hide in a corner. So it's really important to see that how you're nurtured is a foundation for you, but we can alter whatever we want. We can work around it, and we can use it to our advantage just by having the knowledge. That and the trauma and the abuse and the neglect that can happen in your life, these have you feeling either not enough or certain senses of like unsafety. And when when you don't feel safe, it's hard to feel confident. And so
it's hard to take risks,
it's
right?
Hard.
When you feel like if I take another step, the rug's going to get pulled out from underneath me again. And that constant belief in that feeling is going to make it really hard to build, have your building blocks for confidence.
Yeah. So how can we fix this? healing is not linear. Let's be very clear. Healing to me, I look at it like a spider web. You go in one little circle, you hit every little point, and then you're back where you started. And you're like, what? I was just here. But then you got to go a little deeper or a little further out away from the thing. And you just keep going around, hit every point again, look at the nuances, and then you're back at point one again. And you keep doing that until you've built your web of what I call inner safety. And that is part of the healing of the trauma, of the abuse, or of the childhood intake, to go, I got me. I'm a spider who can build a web, who will catch myself every time I fall, if I'm pushed, if my people societally have made me feel like I can't be who I want to be. I can find a way to always feel safe and protect myself. And that's going through every one of my experiences, looking at it from a new angle, and building new webs to intertwine myself, to tell me that I'm safe, I am worthy, I am confident, I can do this. And that takes a lot of inner work. It's a lot of shadow work, but it can be done with professional help, with therapists, with coaches. These are things that if you have not been exposed to, I highly suggest you look into in your area. In person would be great. Obviously, we're in the middle of some interesting times here, so Zoom sessions can happen, but even by phone.
And that is, again, referring back to our foundation. And the challenge is, if our foundation is not feeling sturdy and safe and strong, it's going to be very difficult to build off of it. So we want to focus on that first. That's why it's the first thing that we talked about today in terms of building confidence, is work on that foundation. And it doesn't matter where you start from. There are steps that you can take. There is a path for you and a journey for you.
You know what? I want to touch on the foundation a little deeper for 1 second. If you understand also that the time that you were born into, generationally speaking, affects your societal integration. To give an example, I happen to be a mixed ethnicity human being who entered into the dance world at a time that they had just finished what I'll call the Pamela Anderson stage, which is they wanted big boobs and blonde hair for so long. And right when I came into the dance world, there was this nuanced excitement about mixed women who are ethnically ambiguous, was the word that they always used. They didn't want to know exactly what ethnicity I was. They just wanted me to look like just enough of something. And I found that to be, for me at that time, incredibly beneficial for my professional journey, because they're like, that look that you have is exactly what we're looking for. Perfect. But think about it this way. When you were born, how you were born, the physicality you were born into, the makeup of your skin tone, and all those things, like, they're perceived in a certain way at different times generationally. There was a time, if you look at models, where super thin was in
90s.
Yeah. And then there's a time where the bigger the boobs, the better. And then there was a time of the butt. And
we're still in that time.
Both. So when you understand that your genetic predisposition is somewhat also influenced by society, you can take a little bit of load off of, like, oh my gosh, this doesn't mean I'm not worth anything. First of all, I was just born at the wrong time. Or you can say, wow, I am beautiful and I matter. And this can't impede on my confidence, because that's resting it in society's hands. So once we understand that, when we talk about foundation, again, when she talks about nature versus nurture, the genetic predisposition of what you entered this world on as how we perceive people, which is how we interact. We can't pretend that people don't use their eyes.
Sure.
So we have these conceptions of how we view people, and that will affect your experience, and thus maybe even your confidence, if we can't tap into these techniques that we're going to get into in a minute.
Absolutely. Nurture does not just come from your inner circles and your family. It comes from the society that you grow up in, or that you live in. And those absolutely have effects on our foundation and on our confidence. So the next thing that has to be addressed when we're talking about confidence is toxic relationships. This is the probably beyond your foundation is going to be the number one thing that will hinder you from building the confidence that you desire, is toxic relationships. And it's probably a whole talk on itself, right? But one thing that is very, it's just very clear, is that we have all experienced people where you go, why are these people always trying to hold other people down? Maybe it's you, maybe you've witnessed it, but there are people who are in other people's lives that have these relationships, and for some reason they have a very hard time supporting and, enhancing somebody else's growth opportunity. And instead they want to do this and they want to keep them down. And I think a good place to start is why. Why does that happen? And there's not really one answer, right? There's not one reason. I think it would be way easier to go, oh, they're just jealous and that's it.
That's what my mom told me.
Yeah. And that might be a part of it. Absolutely. Jealousy might be a part of why people want to hold others down, because they say, I don't want you to get better than me. And I want to, I'm jealous of your success, so I'm going to do everything I can to reduce it. But I think there's reasons beyond that I think if we simplify it too much, we're not really going to address it, and we're not going to see it for what it is. Because you might have a partner, for example, somebody that you love very dearly and actually loves you. And yet they are, every time you talk about a new step or leaving your job and trying something else, what do? They come in with all the fear and all the concern and all the reasons why you shouldn't move forward with this. And is it because they're jealous and they want to keep you down? Maybe not. Maybe they are actually just operating from a place of fear, and they think they're doing what's best for you by telling you, you don't want to go down that path because you're fine where you are, and I'm scared to see what happens if you move in that direction.
Or a good example is when some people just have different ideas of what a relationship should look like. So some people might be more traditional in the sense that they believe that the woman should be at home with the kids and in the kitchen and doing all domesticated ideas, where the woman might be like, well, I like that for you and actually for women, but I just happen to have a different dream. So when you have a different dream, it might be difficult then if this person cannot see that you have a dream and want to honor you for it. And they go, no, but my idea of how life should be is more important than your dreams. So that can be considered toxic.
Absolutely. And I mean, the number of ways a toxic relationship can manifest are endless. The relationships can look like anything. They can be with anyone. They can be friends. They can be coworkers. They can be a boss. It can be a husband, a wife, a brother, a sister, a mother-in-law, anyone in your life can be adding these negative influences. And really the biggest challenge with that is that as you're building this, you need fuel. And as you're building your confidence, and if these people are not only giving you fuel, but they're actually putting out your fire as you're trying to do this, it is just going to create more and more challenges. So how do we address this? What do? We go back to our favorite B word, boundaries.
I was like, what?
What's the B word? Boundaries, right? So boundaries, or potentially recognizing that this person is a toxic relationship, and this is affecting my ability to build what I want in my world. And you start with boundaries, and you start by saying, you know what, every time I talk about leaving my job and my aspirations, you bring in all of this fear and all of these issues that I recognize you might be coming from a good place, and you might be,
and you might even be right for what you think I should build.
You might be, but I'm going to ask you to, refrain from doing that, or I'm not going to feel comfortable talking about this with you. I'm just not going to talk to you about my ideas anymore. And you can set that boundary with somebody, and either they're going to respect it or they're not. And then you have to say either, all right, I'm no longer going to talk about these things with this person. This is not somebody I can build confidence with, because every time I build with them, they try to tear it down.
Yeah.
So I might be able to do other things with this person, but building confidence is not one of those. And then you may even get beyond that, where you go, just being around this person is destroying my confidence. Literally, I step into a room and they are tearing me down. And when that happens, that's when you go, this relationship has to end. And however you can do that in a way that feels right to you, but you may have to eliminate toxic relationships from your life if you are looking to build confidence, if this person is continuously bringing you down and pulling you down.
You guys, ending relationships is not an easy thing to do. It's like breakup times 10. And it's really important, though, for the safety of your well-being and your mental health, that you know that option is there. It doesn't mean you pull that card every time. We definitely understand that this is something that we consider to be a last resort. But cutting people out of your life is okay, no matter where they are in your spectrum of relation, even if they are your partner
or parent.
And that is something that I think a lot of people have difficulty with, because many of us are taught, well, that's your brother. How can you do that? My brother's amazing. And if he were to act crazy, I would cut him out. I love him, but bye. And that's not because he doesn't deserve to have, people in his life. He just doesn't deserve to have my time right now. So when we say cut out, we don't always mean like indefinitely till the end of time. No one can tell the future. It's a temporal way to ensure your mental health and safety until you can both either do the growth necessary to re-engage again, or understand that maybe your mutual sharing of energies is not a beneficial one for either or both of you.
Right. So we talked about toxic relationships. If you got to, cut them out. The next thing that we need to address when we talk about barriers that we could encounter as we are trying to build confidence is comparison. So comparison is the thief of joy, they say.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And really, if your assessment of everything around you is always focused, if your energy is always focused on others,
how can you focus on yourself?
How can you focus on yourself?
How?
That's right.
Like the idea of comparison is this. When I'm sitting in my space, if I am a beautiful plant or a tree, and I was worried about how all the other plants and trees were growing around me, I couldn't actually internally use that energy to manifest or grow within myself what is needed for me to be my optimal self. It's like an energy vampire.
Oh,
that's what comparison is. It sucks all the energy you could be putting into loving yourself, practicing things that you might not be good at or want to improve in, and you're putting into what is she wearing? What is she doing? Why is she better than me? And the list goes on. Comparison will literally drain you of your own confidence and self-worth. It is the biggest hindrance of feeling capable and like worthy in this world. And let me tell you, there's one nuance here though. Some people say, but Victoria, when I do compare myself to my friends around me, I actually feel better about myself because I am doing better than them. Here's the caveat to that. It is a very temporal pedestal that you are putting yourself on, that the minute the role changes, the minute something can switch, you then lose all footing. It is a pedestal made of sand, and it's so soft and it dissipates so quickly that comparing yourself to someone else to make yourself feel better is going to literally tarnish all the woodworking of the foundation you're trying to build.
That is a great point. So not only is it not helpful when you're constantly comparing yourselves here and making, honestly, many times unfair comparisons. We talked about this last week with the imposter syndrome discussion, but we're often comparing things that are not fair to compare.
Yep.
And so if you are doing that and that's hurting your confidence, right, that is something to consider. But if you're also getting your confidence from comparison, that is a very slippery slope. And at any moment when those positions shift and then you have somebody else to compare yourself to, and that's how you get your perceived, value or your, how you feel, where your competence comes from, that's going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
And so we address this now and we're going to refer back to it later, but if your default way of saying, okay, how am I doing? Instead of checking in with yourself and using some of the tools we're going to talk about in a bit, instead of doing that, the way you do that is by looking at others and always ranking yourself in them. And if that is your default, mechanism for deciding how you're doing in the world, that is something that needs to be addressed. And we just wanted to say that now because that will always steal your thunder. It will always steal your thunder when you are talking about building confidence. It is not sturdy. It is not a strong foundation to build off of.
It's quicksand. You'll slowly go down and you won't even realize it's happening until you've been swallowed by the monster that is comparison.
So how do we avoid comparison? We
focus on you.
We try to shift our focus, and this can be easier said than done when this has been a pattern that has been created. And here's the thing, this might be part of your foundation where from a very young age, your mother always said, why can't you be more like your sister? Or why can't you be more like your brother? So from a very young age, you've been comparing yourself.
Yep.
So this might be part of that foundation that you need to work on. If comparison is your default for how you judge, how you are doing in the world, that might be some work that needs to be done.
Yeah. And when you say that whole idea of when parents say, why can't you be more like your sister? This goes right into our next point of reliance on external validation. A lot of time as a child, we look to our parents to tell us we did a good job. Did I do okay? Is this okay that I'm doing this? Our entire, every step is mandated by our parental units or authority figures around us. So we have been almost primed to respond to the external humans around us for validation, acceptance, confidence even. And that's where we're saying here, it can hinder your confidence if you put all your eggs in the bucket of someone else and say,
I got him.
Yeah.
I'll give you an egg when you feel like it, right?
It's scary and it's unreliable. It'll literally hinder you from having control over that confidence for yourself. Because now I have to go to her, knock on her door and say, hey, can I have a confidence egg? Can I please like
Am I
myself?
good enough? Look what I did. I'll do a little dance for you. And can I get an egg?
Oh my gosh. People pleasers are us. Like that's what we were primed as. And listen, we're performers by nature. We were taught at a young age, the better we perform, the more advanced, the more showy, like the more love we'll get. So we know this language. We're speaking to you about it from a well-knowing stance, but we also recognize how our attachment and want to get more of that external validation will take our legs out from under us.
Again, it's just not a solid form of fuel for our confidence. Now we will address how it can help, right? There's going to be some external factors that can affect your ability to cultivate this confidence. But if I'm talking all of your ability to say, whether you are trustworthy or you are capable, if all of that comes from somebody else telling you are, then that is going to be an uphill battle for you as you continue to build confidence, because that person won't always be there. And the flip side of that is that the same way that as a child, you might have always needed that external validation to say, look, I got an A. Am I good? Am I good? Am I doing good enough? I got first place, and always needing that. The same side of that, especially I now think about teenagers, and I remember as a teenager too, but how much external validation could affect how we thought about each other. So meaning our peers, the moment they say something bad about us, what happens? Our whole world comes crumbling down. And why is that? Because we're so reliant on them that not only when they're not there, but when they do the opposite and they turn on us, now everything is destroyed. And, this is especially an issue, obviously, with younger women and young kids, because they kind of go from, all right, their parents were their first kind of form of confidence and that connection, and then they shift to the peers. And those peers now, if all of the peers have all of their eggs, then that is just so risky and so concerning. And that continues throughout life. This is not just a teenager thing. I think one of the beauties of getting older is you do learn more. You just learn more and more and more about yourself. So part of confidence, I do believe, comes with age, because it comes with experience, and it comes with knowing, oh, I remember that time in high school where somebody said this and I thought it was the end of the world, and guess what? It wasn't. So you learn those things over time, that even though you feel like these people are, who you need to be impressing and who's responsible for your status in this world, they're actually not at the end of the day.
And the biggest difficulty about what she's saying is that we go from our parents, who again are just usually mentally and emotionally trying to get through parenthood, which is sometimes a really big battle for some parents. And we shift from their validation, again, who sometimes they don't even love themselves, to young children or early 20s or whatever, group you formed into. And those people are still trying to figure out who they even are. So now you're looking for validation from people who don't even know how to validate themselves.
Right.
And it's a recipe for disaster. So then what happens to us? We are lacking in confidence and or unwilling to make big choices because we think that they're always thinking about us. What are they going to say? What are they going to think? And so not even just about external validation, but that external thought of other people projecting onto us. When I'm going to tell you something. Most people aren't thinking about you. Most people are thinking about themselves.
It's so true. Yeah.
So if there's one thing that I wish I could tell my younger self is, Victoria, stop trying to people please and make everyone happy and be perfect to be accepted by everyone else, because they're only focused on how they can be accepted and loved by anyone else. They're not focused on accepting you. In fact, they don't know how to accept you, because how can they accept you if they haven't accepted themselves? So this idea and attachment to external validation will be the weight of difficulty on building a sustainable confidence in yourself.
It will be. And the question then is, what do we do about that? Because I can say that, I can't speak for you, but for me, absolutely, this was something that would at one point got in the way of me building my confidence, was my need for external validation. Of
course.
And that, how do I grow past that? And again, we're going to get to how we start to build. But part of it is identifying that and going, how much how much do I allow what somebody else says about me really affect me, and like, what does that look like for you? And so part of that is just simply identifying it. And many of us don't actually think about that. We just think, oh, it's just normal cause and effect, or so-and-so said this, but are you consumed by it? Are you consumed by external validation?
Yeah.
Is that where you are relying? Is that where your main source of fuel is from? And if it is, we need to resource. We need to find another source of that fuel. And that is part of what we're going to talk about when we get to actually building the confidence. That will be tapping into those different sources. But we have to first identify, all right, I need to shift away from them and focus on these new sources of fuel for me.
And when you look at new sources of fuel, we have to also honor other things that are happening within our system that might need to be fueled due to our own experiences, which might include, and it's our last hindrance of confidence building, it's our mental health challenges. And this is something that could include anxiety or depression, or again, the trauma that has existed in our life, to know that if we're trying to build confidence and these things are coming in, the automatic negative thoughts that tell you you're not good enough, you can't do it, you are fighting a different battle than someone who doesn't have automatic negative thoughts or depression or an inability to sit silently without anxious worries infiltrating their mind. So sitting there and first understanding, the battle is different from you, and that's okay. The battle is different, but not lost, okay? Mental health is not going to be the reason why you can't be confident. It will be a challenge for you to yet again overcome. And the beauty of it is, if you can overcome these things, you are building resilience and ending up much stronger than you could have ever imagined.
And actually likely with a stronger foundation to build confidence, because you have already overcome one of the hardest challenges out there. And we're going to talk about later how part of building confidence is overcoming challenges. So
yeah,
you are setting yourself up for a confident future by first, really tackling those mental health issues and concerns. But understanding that, yes, the journey will not look the same for everybody as we continue to build our bridge of confidence.
So how do we help those mental health challenges? Of course, we have to first identify them. We have to go, wow, I'm kind of bipolar and I'm having these feelings. I want to go get this checked out. Getting professional help to first label something for you for a moment, and then go, okay, that's labeled, I'm not labeled, okay? I have a diagnosis. That's all this is. And with those diagnoses, I can seek certain kinds of treatment. In-person therapy, somatic therapy, where it's going into your deep physicality and ridding it from your body. I can go on meds until I can get this handled. These are all different ways that mental health challenges can be mitigated, neutralized, overcome. Group work therapy. There have been people who've done ayahuasca experiences. All these different things are in your realm. You are empowered with them. The choices are there. You don't have to be a victim of that. And I empower you to find what works for you. And that might mean trying everything.
So to sum it up, the 5 things that we wanted to address first that are potential hindrances to building your confidence, or simply, steps to take to make sure that those things are kind of handled and in their place first to build your foundation, is how is your foundation as a person? And do I need to seek therapy? Do I have toxic relationships that I need to either distance from or take a walk from? Do I constantly compare myself to others? And if so, I need to shift that focus back to myself. Am I relying too heavily on external validation and all of those around me? And if so, I need to build tools and work on different ways to find a new source for that fuel. And lastly, do I have some, overarching mental health concerns that I need to address before I even think about, really starting to take on some of these challenges that will be challenges as we start to build our confidence.
Yeah. So now that you know what could hinder you, we can put those in a box.
We're good. Okay.
And say those things can happen. And that is something that
they will happen. Every single one of us has one of those things.
If not all.
We might check all the boxes, right?
And that's okay, because these do not define you. They're just life experiences meant to help mold you. That's all they are. Experiences, different things that have happened to you. We don't have to minimize it, but we don't have to grandiosize. That's not a word, but I made it up for you guys. So again, let's recap also about the idea of self-confidence versus self-worth. A lot of the things that we talked about in this little box we put to the side can tap into and really help your self-worth as well. But I want to be very clear that the things that we're going to get into right now are purely confidence building on that level. So let's begin first with our purpose. What is your purpose? And you know what? I remember people asking me that, like, from elementary school to high school to college. And
what
I'm
do you
like,
want to be when you grow up?
I don't know what my
your
purpose is. Like, no one downloaded that onto my bracelet when I was born and had me read it later. Like, I don't know what my purpose was for a very long time. But then I realized purpose is not only different for different people, but purpose can change from moment to moment, from year to year, from phase to phase. Your purpose in high school might be different than your purpose in college, might be different than your purpose in motherhood, might be different than your purpose in union with another human being. Purpose can be fluid, or it can be standing. For many, purpose can be their faith. It could be their career. It could be anything that they do on a daily basis that takes them out of their me into this is them. It's this grander existence outside of themselves. For many, that's the universal existence of nature. I am working with this earth, and I want to make this earth last for generations to come. How can I reconnect back with the dirt, the soil, the ground, the land, and be back with it? That is purpose, and purpose is deep.
It is so deep. And when you have a purpose, right? When you have a why, then things like doubt, right? Or things like all these other concerns, it will be less likely that those get in the way when your purpose is high enough and it is a strong enough calling. And I actually think about my self-defense instruction journey and how in the beginning, I didn't know what I was doing, like I was like any other student. I was just learning jujitsu and I was learning how to teach and, feeling a huge lack of confidence in terms of my abilities to do that. But the purpose was so clear. And I'm like, no one's doing this. This has got to happen. Women have to learn jujitsu. Women have to learn self-defense. That's all that matters. And whether I stumble and fall along the way is that is going to happen. But it makes those falls more tolerable.
Yep.
We're struggling today. We got this.
We're making up words for y'all.
It makes those tumbles more tolerable when your why is so clearly understood. And here's the thing. I actually think I've always said, what a gift that, for example, Henner and Hedon, they were literally from like age 5 or like, here's your purpose.
More like
go change
0.
the world, right? Like, yeah, not even 5. They came out of the womb. Here's your purpose. Here's the world. And they actually happened to adopt that purpose.
They loved it.
They adopted it for themselves. They took it on themselves and that became their purpose, jujitsu and sharing jujitsu. And I'm like, wow, what a gift to know that from that early of an age.
Yep.
And to just have that drive you through life. Like how amazing. Most of us don't have that.
Most of us crash in like 15 walls before we find
yeah,
the
we're
road.
like, there's my purpose. That didn't work. Here's my purpose. Nope, not that either. And that's okay. Like our purpose might change and our whys might change from moment to moment. Like you said, it might be first this, and then you have a child and you're like, oh my God, you just became my why. Oh gosh. Okay. I got to figure this out.
Until they have their own life and they're like, wait, you can't be my why anymore?
Well, now what's my new why? And so our whys are always changing. Our purpose might be changing. And this might be a journey that you're on where you're trying to find your purpose, right? So this is not to say if you don't have your purpose fully identified that you can't build confidence, but this is the number one way to, when you follow that, right? And this is for people when they kind of are going about something they're not actually that passionate about. And they're like, someone like said, oh, here's a job. And you're like, oh, got it. And I'm going to just go about this and check all the boxes and do what they tell me. But why am I not building confidence in this? Probably because you don't care about it. Probably because it does not align with your purpose and your goals. So you are going to be much more timid when it comes to taking risks with that because it's not as important to you. So when you think about connecting to your purpose, connecting to your why are you doing what you're doing? That is going to kind of like propel you through these other challenges and, failures and mistakes and other things that can happen as you're trying to build confidence.
And here's an idea. And listen, this one, I'm just throwing it out there so you could try it. Just pick a purpose and try it on and go, does this feel good? Try it for a day, a month, even a couple of years. Invest, really, really try. Like if I'm going to try it, I'm going to try. And then you go, that wasn't for me. Try on purposes to then later go, it didn't work. That wasn't for me. You don't know what your purpose is. You can know what your purpose is not. My purpose is not to be a lawyer. I can't do it. That's a lot of information. The legalities.
I knew that from a young age. Yeah. My mom's a lawyer. I was like, nope.
No.
I'm good. Thanks.
So how do you deduce what your purpose is? Deduce what's not. And once you figure out what you're not, then try on the things that well, it could be this. And it's like going to try on clothes. This is cute. This is cute. This is cute. This is not. I'm not even going to bring this into the clothing room with me. But these 3 dresses are options. I'm going to try them all on, see which one I like the best, and maybe buy 2. Always buy 2. So yeah, that's one of the ways that you can try on your purpose, but finding your purpose will help build confidence because it will take you outside of yourself and really like embody you to something bigger than what you are.
Mm-hmm. Next is, by the way, there's 10 total. They all start with the letter P. We worked really hard to make that happen. Cheers. The next one is play. Play is one of the most brilliant ways to foster confidence in children.
Play all day.
Now, for children, but also for adults. So just think about the last time you played something and really had fun playing. I'm not talking about someone's like, oh, play this game of ping pong. You're like, oh, I'm horrible at ping pong. Fine. Oh God, I still suck. Okay. Not that. I'm talking about something that you enjoyed playing, whether it was a video game, whether it was volleyball or whether it was something you played, right? And how you feel in that moment where you're driven by something and you're excited and you're having fun. And there's something about just playing in the world and everything that you're doing, finding a little bit of a way to play in that world. And I always think about Henner when I think about this because, first of all, I feel like everything he does is just play. He comes home, he's like, let's play. Oh, he's always playing with the kids. He's playing nonstop,
like,
right?
Chill.
I know. I'm like, stop playing. We need to go to bed. But beyond just the actual physical playing, right? He really looks at business as a game. He plays the game of business and he loves it, right? So he's not in the business world to just say, okay, I showed up, here I am. What do I do next? All right, I'm just going to participate in this world. He is playing the game. And that usually means when you're playing, like if you think about you're playing a video game, you're more likely to go, oh, okay, failed that level. I got to go back and go do it again. When you think of it as a game, you're more likely to actually take risks and to start over because you see that it's not just this one linear, progress. And you're just going to, oh, I stopped. Okay, I got to turn around and go back. No. You play, you work through it, and then at some point you might fail, and then you kind of get back up and you keep playing. So this idea of adopting play into your mindset, into your actual, like what you're doing, you should be playing more. And adults have many ways to play, right? And so you can find what playing for you. Maybe it's jujitsu, maybe it's dance, maybe it's sex. I don't know. Like there's so many ways to play for adults. But to find that and then also apply like the mentality of I'm just playing in this. I'm playing and let's just try this. Oh, didn't work. Cool. I'm going to keep playing. And if you have that playful mindset, we can ask Hedon to keep it playful, right?
Yeah. And one of the real reasons I think you can see a lot of people who are building their confidence like break in terms of confidence is because they start to take things a little too seriously.
Yeah.
And when something is taken to, like, for instance, my books, when I first did my first book, I took it so serious. I was like, this must be done. But it took 3 years to get it done. And at some point I had to be like, oh my God, this is just a game. It'll come out when it comes out. It's taken 3 years for me. And my second book only took 6 months, just to give you an idea of time frames of what I was working with. That 3 years felt like forever. And that's also what it feels like for young kids. When you're in school and something happens, you think it's the end of your world. And in video games, you think I'm going to lose. If I lose this game, it's going to be the end and I'm going to have to go back to the beginning. Life is actually easier than some of these video games. You die and you go right back there. And here you fail and you start again because you play in it. And
don't die in real life. You won't come back to life. So don't try that.
But you can make ideas die. You can make like thought processes and projects. Let them die. Let them fail and try again with something different. Play with it instead of taking life so serious. Don't take yourself so seriously that you can't be here. And I'm going to use the V word, not Victoria, but vulnerable. Make yourself vulnerable to the humans around you, to the ideas and the experiences around you. Because then guess what? Vulnerability is the key to the most authentic confidence. Because if you're not being vulnerable to who you are in the moment of play with someone, you're shallowly engaging and building that confidence through play. But if you're so vulnerable and you give everything you have to whatever game you're playing with someone, whether it's the game of relationships, the game of life, the game of friendship, love, or literally playing a game.
Volleyball.
We get real serious in volleyball, guys.
Serious.
But that vulnerability is what makes the deepest connections and thus builds the deepest confidence trees. That, with play, is one of the most sustainable and longevity building for confidence bricks. You'll feel a big difference when you open your heart to something. But it gets scary because opening your heart also opens it to rejection and failure. We'll get to that in number 10, though.
It does. I wanted to take a quick pause really quick and mention something. So you guys can't see on YouTube, but on Instagram, I know that we have comments that come in often that are extremely triggering to people who care about us, and just women out there who are triggered by the gross and inappropriate comments that are being made. And this is unfortunately a part of actually when we talk about that external, that external validation, or even that the ability for people externally to tear us down. This is part of my building process that I have had to do. So I have to look at comments like these on a daily basis and then go, all right, moving on, right? And so I want you to all join on that journey with me. And I know it can be hard and it can be triggering and it can be difficult, but there will be people who try to, even when you're doing something that is meant to be empowering and inspiring to others, that will try to tear you down. And so you just keep moving and we keep moving on. And I want you guys to, number one, just stay with us. And I know it's hard sometimes to read those comments. So I appreciate you guys staying with us throughout this. And for those of you who are leaving inappropriate comments, I ask you to kindly leave. Anyways, moving on.
Moving on to our next topic on building confidence is practice makes progress. I wanted to write practice makes perfect, but ain't nobody perfect. I no longer strive for perfection. B, I also realize that if I'm practicing incorrectly, that I'm just reinforcing my lack of perfection by practicing. But I can say practice makes progress, and progress is hours and hours of a learned behavior, time on the mat, time in a field. And it's like that idea of 10,000 hours makes a professional in anything. It's giving yourself and your time to anything that is of value to you. So how do you build confidence? Do things over and over and over and over and over and over again until it can't be done in any other way than the ones that you
money. That anyone who says, I'm struggling with confidence in this one area, I would put money that if I just said, all right, I want you to do that thing every single day. I know it's scary. I know it's hard. I want you just to do that thing every single day. And if I check in 1 year, I'm going to say, how's your confidence? I guarantee you it will be higher than it was when you first started. There is no other way around it. Putting in the time is the only way. And guess what? In the beginning, it feels awkward. It feels weird. It's like, this is not, it's scary. And I remember having those, coming into wrestling, oh my gosh, like I'd never wrestled professionally before in my life. So I came in and I actually had to learn in front of the world. So I didn't get to now they have this performance center where people get to train and kind of perform in front of small crowds before you go to national television. It's like, hey, welcome. Okay. In a few months, you're going to have your first match. And I'm like, what am I doing?
Or think about this for those of you
learning on the road and just in the moment.
Yeah. So for you guys who are maybe scared to ask someone out. If you're a female and you think of the traditional ideologies that men should ask women out, or if you're a man who has really struggled with fears of rejection or anything, practice just honestly hitting on people every day. Ask
Not
someone,
the same person.
No.
Then you should give up.
That's number 10. We'll talk about that later. No, practice this. Practice just giving compliments, genuine, authentic, not disgusting ones. Really genuine. Hey, you look beautiful today. Hey, I really like your smile. Hey, your energy is amazing. Practice giving compliments and move from compliments to asking someone out. And if you practice that which you fear on a daily basis, you will eventually lose the fear because you will see that which you feared wasn't as grand as you thought it was.
Yeah. And so practice getting rejected, right? Like these there's so many ways to practice areas that you want to build a confidence in. And depending on what pillar you want to build in. And I think that's something else to address, is that confidence is kind of this, like, we give it this kind of blanket statement, but it's fair to say that I might be really confident in one area, and in another area, I'm like, oh, nope, I actually don't trust that I got myself in that area because I just don't have the skill sets and is it transferable? Is it transferable? That's the question. Is confidence transferable? I believe it is, in the way is that it's a learned, especially if you learn confidence. If you have grown confidence from the ground up and you've watched yourself grow it and you go, I remember when I was here and now I'm here. Then you go, okay, if I did that here, I can do that here. I can do that in this other pillar. And then I can go here and I go, oh, I remember when I was there too. And I can build that here. So yes, it is transferable. Not necessarily, I actually joke.
The skills aren't always transferable.
I always joke because Henner's confidence is fully transferable. He's like, I've never played volleyball in my life. I'm going to teach you how to play volleyball. Let's go. Like, no, I'm just joking, but kind of serious.
No, you're not joking.
But he is like, I always go, I'm like, is that a Henner answer? Where it's like, he just says it confidently. And I'm like, is that really the answer? Or did you just make that up? So sometimes it can be transferable, right? But there's also some ability to go, oh no, I recognize that that's not my area. Not confident in that area. I could build it if I want, right? And that's all we need to know, is that practice and progress. And what else is important about progress is tracking it. Because and this is in jiu-jitsu, why it's really important that people earn belt promotions and earn stripes, because you, as the person inside it, like as you're going along, every single day you're like, oh gosh, okay, I had a good day. Oh, I still kind of suck. And like, it's hard for you to look back and actually measure the progress yourself.
Yeah, it's like laying bricks. If you're constantly looking at the bricks you're laying and you've laid 10,000 bricks, it's not until you stand fully back and go, oh my gosh, I built a house. A house is built, but that's because you're staring at the bricks. And so that's why tracking and understanding, oh my gosh, I made so much progress. I've laid 10,000 bricks. I don't know what I'm building, but I'm building. And that's why she says, when you can track off the classes, I don't know how I've done 60 classes, but maybe there's information here that I'm even not fully in touch with. But if I get into a position, I can go, oh my God, I know that. And I know that. Oh, that's cool. And that'll help build your confidence, because you are stepping back and seeing all that which you really know or have done.
Yeah. So if you can find ways to track your own progress and your own process, and that might be through journaling, it might be through filming yourself, where you go back and you watch, when you started learning a skill, or maybe you're working on public speaking and you film yourself public speaking once to your camera, and then you try it again, and months later you can look back and go, oh my gosh, I've come a long way.
Yeah,
that's great. So you can. The progress is more tangible that way when you can track it.
Yeah. And the perfect segue from putting bricks on top of bricks on top of bricks is then productivity. Just do it. Do things. Do all the things. Keep creating and producing things within yourself and your life.
Sorry, you have an eyelash, right?
Oh,
got you.
Make a wish. So if you're continuing to produce and be productive, you can then look at a quantifiable amount of things that you've done and at least hold confidence in the fact that you are doing things that are producing either outcomes that you enjoy or ideas that you're working towards. It's like a viewable amount of stuff.
And productivity, all it is you're making this connection to, I put in effort and then I get a result. And I put an effort and I get a result. And I put an effort and I get a result. And I get an outcome to that. And just that constant correlation starts to build confidence that if I put energy into something can happen from it. So, there's obviously a point where productivity becomes overwhelming and become all you focus on, because that's like your only source of confidence. But for those who are still kind of like, it literally might be, I think of like a new mom who's kind of coming back from having a child. And I remember my confidence had never felt so low than I did as a new mom, because I wasn't able to tap into all these other external people going, good job, like no one, my baby's looking at me like, what are you going to do next, mom? No one cares, right?
Babies don't clap for us.
They don't clap.
Problem number one.
So I got no external validation. I wasn't even playing in the ways I normally had. I wasn't even able to focus on my normal purpose, which was, teaching. I felt like just everything was out. And sometimes, honestly, for me, my confidence came down to these simple, just productivity and being like, okay, I'm going to clean my house today, or I'm going to do, and like just the simple thing of like, no, I'm still capable of doing things. I can check things off a list and I can accomplish something today. that starts to build your confidence back.
Yes.
And maybe it's exercising in a way that you go, okay, I was able to do this today. And it's just productivity. And again, we don't want to necessarily like rely on it for our source of value. But in moments where I think about when I was, a new mom, that was a time where I needed to rebuild my confidence kind of from scratch and kind of didn't have the normal tools that I could normally pull from. So that was one that I turned to.
Yeah. And I think that this is a really good parallel to maybe what a lot of people might be feeling right now, stuck at home during a pandemic, during quarantine. You feel like, man, I can't go and serve my higher purpose, which may be your job or maybe, what your church or wherever you normally go to for this external source. You can't play in ways that you used to. So you're stuck going, well, but how can I still be productive? Maybe I can open up a lot of the home projects I wasn't willing to do before. Maybe I can go into the complete planning side of all the business strategies I want. Maybe I can be productive by learning how to meditate, taking on new crafts. Maybe I can create something with some friends or read or whatever it is in a productivity standpoint. The early childhood mother stage was just a perfect parallel to what many people are experiencing now, which is the isolation of their home, the deterioration of their normal activities that they resourced a lot of external confidence from. And now we can find, okay, how can I then, from a home perspective, be productive enough to instill more confidence in myself?
That's great. The next P is pride. Pride. How do we, and at first I kind of thought about pride and I was like, well, it's not the same as confidence, but it's not actually. I don't think it is. I think you can be proud of things that you've accomplished.
Yep.
But those proud moments kind of come and go, right? So how do we tap back into our pride, right? And really look at, again, stepping back from all the bricks and saying, wow, I just put all those bricks down. That's amazing. We don't often get to revel in our pride and we don't get to celebrate it because we're so busy in the moment doing the things, right? So taking a moment to really tap into your pride. And the way you do that is by taking a step back, right? And is by really looking at, okay, what are the things that I've accomplished this year? Maybe it's you writing them down and really look at what I've done. And here's all the things I'm proud of, and actually focusing on those for a moment, because it's very easy to focus only on the things that you're not doing or that you're not good enough at or that you want to do or that you failed at. And it's so easy to focus on those things. So how do we actually intentionally shift our focus to our pride and the things that we are most proud of?
Yeah. Start by just writing a list today. The minute this video ends, write down all the things you are proud of, or right now, or in the comment section. Can you tell us something that you are proud of that you did in the last 4 months of, let's just call it COVID time? What are some things you're proud of? You know what I'm proud of? I'm proud that I didn't have a huge emotional breakdown during this time. It was overwhelming for me, and I'm still here alive and somehow speaking on confidence. Here we are. I'm so proud of myself for that. Think about what you've survived on a small scale, make it a little bigger scale, and make that list as small or long as you want. But watch this list build, and you can be like, wow, I'm actually a lot more confident in myself than I thought. Because I'm proud. I'm proud of all these things that I did.
And that list can be going back quite a ways too, because sometimes I think we do accomplish things and then they kind of like, get moved on, you move on with your life, and you might feel like you're in a different phase of your life, right? So it's easy for me to like completely forget about my wrestling world sometimes. Like in my normal day, I'm like around kids, they're like, I don't care about you and what you did in the past, right? Like they don't care. So for me, it's okay to even go back and go, wow, it feels like a lifetime ago, but I did those things. That was me. It was the same person. I almost might not feel like I could do those things right in this moment, but I go, no, actually I can, because I did. And so we can even take past accomplishments and past things that we are proud of, even if it feels like a lifetime away, and recognize that is still you. And you can still own the pride for those moments, even though it might feel like it's almost a different person because it was so long ago. Yeah.
Kate wrote that she made a ton of progress healing traumas. I just want to clap so hard for you right now, because healing traumas is not just a one list and check thing. I know how many times you have to revisit a trauma again and again and again to heal this. So pride would be an understatement on how I would feel at feeling like I have made any progress in that realm, Kate. And I'm so proud of you. So please know that when it comes to feeling proud, you should have a big bubble of proudness within yourself.
So proud of you. You're looking at some of the other ones.
Sorry. She said, I'm proud to be a new jiu-jitsu student since COVID started and been present for every Zoom class.
Yes. Celeste, we see you.
This is a beautiful way to build confidence as well. When you see that, you know what, I'm new to something and I'm repetitively going to that new thing.
You're practicing.
That's practice makes progress. On top of that, you can be proud of it because you're tracking yourself. These are all different ways to sustainably create a good relationship with your confidence and build it so that it can be everlasting.
That's it. Number 6, peer and partner support. So in the same way that we talked about toxic relationships potentially affecting your ability to cultivate confidence, partnerships and relationships can actually help. There is no doubt that they can be helpful. And again, this is so we talked about needing external validation, right? We would be, I mean, who are we to say, like, I think it's silly when people just say we shouldn't rely on any external validation. That's just not human, right? Like we need some of that. So we're not going to sit here and say that you should never need or seek external validation for anything that you do. That is just unrealistic.
We just want you to have a healthy relationship with that external validation.
Exactly. And take it for what it is. And then at the end of the day, you always come back and check in with yourself and you go, they said that. I'm going to check back in with myself. How do I feel about what they said? Does that resonate with me or does it not? No, I'm going to reject it. So as long as you can always check back in with yourself. But if you have, peer and partner support, man, it can be so helpful to building confidence. When you just have someone going, I believe in you, you got this, I am rooting you on. Having somebody root you on is so special. It's so special when you're especially in those moments of doubt, in the moments of building confidence, in those vulnerable moments. Having somebody and having people in your life that are supporting you through this is absolutely important to building confidence. And if you don't feel like you have those people, then it's a really important question to look around and go, who are my people that I go to? Who are my people that I go to when I need a boost she's the one. Like I know who I go to when I need, and my husband, he's somebody else that has always been very supportive and very always cheering me on from anything that I kind of bring to him. And he'll still keep it real with me, but that having that source is undoubtedly important.
And I'll tell you, peer and partner support doesn't have to be just by people you know. I have been myself in a grocery store when my daughter was maybe 1.5, 2 years old, and she was having a total meltdown in the grocery store. And I sat on the floor with her and I calmly walked her through, you're having big emotions. This is a scary place. You've never been to this grocery store before. I walked her through what was happening for her and I just let her have her big emotions. And you know what's crazy? A mom walked up and with all the compassion in the world, she was like, you're doing a great job. This is really cool to watch you be so emotionally available for your daughter. And I was like, I don't know this woman, but that's my sister right there because she found that the peer support that she could be for me in a time that she could tell. I'm a new mom. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was doing the best that I could. I felt emotionally flooded and incapable of the job that I was given by birthright. And I'm sitting here like, I don't know what to do, but I'm going to try this. She saw it and she reinforced my capability. And in that moment, had no idea, but built my confidence that what I was doing had impact and was beautiful. And that is one of the ways that we can help other people by peer support. Again, you don't have to know the mom to go up to her at a park and be like, hey, you're doing a great job. I see that your 17 kids are all playing so crazy and you're just staying calm. This is great. There's so many ways we can build people around us, but also create a support team that can help reinforce things that we might not be seeing because we're too busy doing.
And if you don't feel like you have those people, it's time to build that. It's time to find that community. And it may not be in your inner circles right now. Hopefully you have at least one person or two people that you feel like are your cheerleaders. But if not, it might be looking for a support group. And, if you're a new mom, there are tons of new mother support groups, and jujitsu. There's forums, out there for other women who are trained jujitsu and, Women Empowered page. We try to cultivate this kind of sisterhood where people can support each other. So that is an important part. It should not be, neglected, and it's okay to seek that and seek some of that support from our peers and our partners.
Yeah. So this next one, it's a little controversial because confidence is one thing, but you might have to pretend. Now, what is it? What do I mean by pretend? It comes with our little imposter syndrome, fake it till you make it. The idea is you might have to pretend that you have confidence in something. And let me tell you this, I kind of do that as a mom for my kids. When they're like, Mom, is this okay? And I'm like, yeah, this is great. And right when you go to the high-pitched voice that like you have no idea what you're talking about, it's pretend. And if you start to pretend your confidence, it's kind of like trying this mask on. Let me try being confident for a little while. And eventually you try it on so many times that you find comfort in that confidence so that you can wear that confidence a lot easier, that mask or that costume that you try out, like, oh, I see how it moves now. I see how it feels now. In fact, I can just slide it on whenever I want. And pretending you're confident will not only help you find your inner confidence, but it'll help build other people's confidence in your confidence. And now they're externally reinforcing what you're trying to internally navigate. And pretending helps everybody to realize how confident we can be, so then you could choose to be at any moment.
I love it. It's actually a really great tool. And here's the thing. Many people might feel, going back to imposter syndrome again, they might feel fraudulent trying this on. They might feel like, oh, am I trying to pretend like I know what I'm talking about? Is this even believable? Does anyone believe me? Right? And so that might be the challenge that people find. But here's what's important to understand about this. When we say pretend, again, it's think about putting on a costume, right? Putting on a costume. At the end of the day, you're still you. You're still the person. You put on this costume. I don't care. Every year I put on that Wonder Woman costume and I'm like, yeah, just like look at my kids. I'm like, yeah, I'll play superheroes. What, you want to go? I'll take you on Superman or whatever. So it's like, there's something about putting a costume on that makes us feel different. And even, I was saying, like, I think in yoga, I don't actually do yoga. I should, but there's like, I know there's this idea of power stances. Someone give me a little class. I need it. But this idea of power stances, this goes beyond just yoga, I believe. But I know that from, wherever you are sitting right now, however you are, I want you to sit and crouch over and just kind of like bend over this way. And I want you to do this and like put your hands down. And then I want you to sit up or stand up. Maybe I would, but I'd be out of the camera. And put your hands on your hips. I want you to put your shoulders back and your head up. And I want you to just think about how you feel, the difference of how you feel right now and where you were before. This is just trying confidence on. This is pretending. I don't care how you feel right now, right? Before we did this, you do this, you put your hands on your hips and you find your power stance, or maybe your legs are apart or they're bent and you're looking up. You just feel powerful. You feel stronger. And this is what we're talking about when we're saying pretend or try it on, right? And another note on this is going back to this whole thing of our actual true personality traits, right? So we'll say maybe somebody's introverted like myself, or shy like myself. So maybe that's who you are as a person. And some people can feel like, well, why do I need to put on this fake thing just to be this or that? And I believe that I am still going to be me at the end of the day. But there are moments where my confidence really helps me. And trying on this confidence really helps me get through something. And it might be just a kind of a facet of myself or one angle of myself. And I can recognize that, it feels good right now. And then afterwards, I'm going to take that off and go, just like we did the other day, we're like, kick off these heels, take off these shoes, a bra comes off and we're like, oh, I just want to be comfortable in my, and that's okay too. Like we can try these on and they serve us in different ways. So trying this confidence on, it doesn't mean you're not still you. It doesn't mean you may not still be an introvert, or you may not have moments of shyness where you just go like, walk away, just like not talk to these people. That's okay. You can have those moments too and still practice confidence in your everyday life.
And let me tell you this, when it comes to pretending, follow the children's lead. My kids will wake up every day and they will pretend all day. They're playing Legos and they're giving names to those Legos. They've married mermaids to like reindeers. They start coming out with costumes and they'll pretend to be everything throughout. From the beginning to the end of the day, they've been every character on Netflix possible. Okay. Except for the evil ones, even though they have to be those too. So they've tried on all the things to pretend what it's like so they can see what it feels like. And if this is something, a character they want to continue in their daily life. So why could that be different than confidence building? Try on being really good at something. You don't have to actually be good at it for a minute, but try on what it would be like to come in and be like, yeah, I am the best volleyball player here. Obviously your skills will then show up on the court. So you'll have to meet that resistance later. But if you try what it feels like to just say it, to just own that what you want to be, That is the first step that children just do to say, yeah, I'm going to be a doctor. They recognize that there's an entire series of education that needs to precede their ability to actually work on a patient, but they play it anyways because it's their confidence building into a reality that they want to create. They, as young children, already know the beauty and the magic of manifestation, of vocalizing what you want to be, and of doing the things that they needed to get there to be that. And we are reminding you that one of the biggest ways to do that is to pretend. And you could add that in there with play, and then to track your progress. All these little things are going to build your confidence into being whatever you want to be.
That's right. And actually that goes right into how to physically embody confidence, right? We actually practiced it right now. How do we embody confidence, right? It's one thing to like think it and it's in our brain and we go, okay, I'm confident, I'm confident. But then how does our body take that on, and how does it look, and how does it feel? And this is where, again, women empowered, why this is such an important part of self-defense. Because ultimately what it is it is this physical embodiment of confidence. And one of the most common things that we hear from students of Women Empowered is, I've heard, it gave me confidence I didn't know I was lacking. And that's what's interesting, right? Is because I think as women, we walk around and you might even say, actually, I'm a fairly confident person. I'm a fairly confident woman, or not. But either way, when we look at the average woman, will say, we don't think about it all the time, but we have all settled into this role of understanding that when it comes to our physical strength, right, that we have this inferior position to men, right? Men are physically stronger than us. And I don't think about this on a daily basis, right? Now it might be reminded to you when you are walking to your car and a guy who's much bigger than you, gives you a bad feeling. We are reminded of on those when we see kind of physical threats. But when you're talking to your coworker next to you, right, about a project, are you thinking in the back of your head, oh gosh, this guy's so much bigger and stronger than me? You're not. But what's interesting is it is like this subtle thing and so deeply ingrained in us that we don't even acknowledge it anymore. And I actually said to Henry yesterday, I'm like, you have no clue. Zero clue what it feels like to not embody physical confidence. You're 6'4", you're strong, you're a man, you know jujitsu. You have zero clue what that feels like. And just think about the difference of that between that and pretty much most women in the world. Even if you work out and you feel like you are strong, that's how I felt when I first started training jiu-jitsu. I'm like, I'm strong, I'm an athlete, but I would have no clue what to do if someone attacked me or if someone hurt me. So this physical embodiment of confidence is something that most women just have not yet tapped into. And that's what's beautiful about jiu-jitsu, is that it's the first time in my life I felt like there was something that evened the playing field a little bit. And it went, oh my gosh, I do feel like I have more confidence in an area I didn't even realize I was constantly feeling a lack of confidence in. And it is the physical embodiment of that. Now, self-defense is one way to absolutely embody this physically, because you are telling your body to defend itself. You are actually empowering it with techniques and skills. But there are many other ways to physically embody confidence, right? This is pretty much any form of exercise or any physical thing that you're getting confident in. Your body is embodying it. It's like speaking. Your brain is telling your body to do certain things, and as you develop comfort in that and confidence in that, it is translating to confidence in other areas.
Yeah, as you create the physical capabilities, the confidence follows. So really cultivating the skills necessary to be able to not only find the comfort and peace of the techniques and the strength that it could offer you, but as well as the survivability. Confidence comes with survivability, knowing that you can win a fight, survive a fight, or beat a fight. And when we talk about self-defense in general, it always comes back to our next point, which is preparedness. How prepared are you for anything in your life? The more prepared you are for anything, the more confident you feel. That's why every mom before a trip packs everything into the vehicle that they can. That's why our purses are filled to the brim of every possibility they can. I've got a bathroom wipe here. I've got some keys. I've got Band-Aids. I've got a makeup kit, a first aid kit. I've got everything possible because it helps build my confidence that no matter what I deal with on this day with my children or without, I am prepared for every situation. Now, that could be obsessive thinking, but it also, again, is a confidence building tool that will help you feel like, okay, as long as all of that is handled, I can lack confidence in other areas because I'm confident here and I can use my malleability to like just engage into something else next.
Well, it's almost like your preparedness can almost replace confidence in that sense. You go, I may not know what I'm doing, but I'm going to prepare so well for any possible situation that no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay. And just that in itself will give you the confidence to move forward with whatever challenge you might be facing. So if you feel like you might be lacking confidence in the area, then focus on preparing, right? And like, really, what does preparedness look like? And it could be for, let's say you're going to ask for a promotion and that's scary to you and you haven't really built the confidence yet to go and talk to your boss and ask for a promotion, right? So how do you prepare for that mentally? How do you go into that prepared? You may not have the confidence may still be like, scared, right? But how do you go in and go, okay, if I go in and I, start with a demonstration of everything that I've done so far and be able to kind of show that on paper. And then I go in and I make my request. What could possibly happen? He could say no. And when he does, or she, and when they say no, then what, right? And you start to actually go through the emotions, the possibilities. What will I say when that happens? How will I feel when that happens? Okay, let's think about that. Yeah, that'll feel yucky. All right, and then what am I going to do next? But if you go into the situation with no preparedness and a lack of confidence, then you go in, you go, hey, can I have a promotion? No, okay, bye. See you later. Thanks for the talk. So going in prepared is what will give you the confidence to maybe do something that you otherwise feel scared or not confident enough to do.
And that's a great point is when you prepare for even the worst case scenarios and the best case scenarios, and you realize how you'll feel. And again, this is your projection of feeling because you don't know really how you feel, but you'll say, man, if I lose this job or this opportunity, I'm going to be bummed. I'm probably going to have to find a new place to live. My finances will change, but I'll be okay. Mm-hmm. Now your worst case scenario has been neutralized to such a bummer, but I'll be okay.
I'll be okay.
So you're more likely to engage confidently in that request for a raise because you're dealing with it, knowing that even if the worst of worst happens, I'll be all right.
If they say, get out of my office, you're fired.
Yes.
Which they won't. But even then you go, okay, I've got a plan for that.
And I'm sure all of you know, because we've all been through school at some point in our life, that when you're preparing for a test and you're like, we're going to have a book on Noah's Ark. We're going to read the whole book here. If you've read the whole book, you can go into that test confidently because you know every character, how it's going to end, what's going to happen, where they're going to go. I don't even know if Noah's Ark's story. It's been a story. So my point is knowing all the information or all the possibilities will help build your confidence in the activities or experiences you have because you have run through everything that could go down and you are confident that no matter what happens, it'll be okay, if not awesome, if not my favorite, but bummer.
And another, going back into preparedness is jujitsu, right? Is jujitsu and self-defense. That's ultimately what that is too. It's preparing yourself for potential confrontations. And when you can prepare yourself for confrontations, you are more willing to and more likely to attack life straight on. Because guess what? A confident person will encounter confrontation. That will just happen. Because why? You're going about life, you're taking risks, you're moving forward.
And you're owning what you want.
And that will happen. And the more you're prepared for confrontation, the more prepared you will be in general to take risks. The last P. What is it? The last P. And then we'll summarize. The last P is persistence. Persistence. Persisting even in the face of failure. And really, I just want to focus on failure for a second, because the fastest way to building confidence is failing. But there's kind of a caveat there. If you fail and walk away, there will be no confidence built. Zero. If you fail and walk away and go, oh, wasn't for me. Yeah, I guess I'm not good enough. There will be no confidence built. As a matter of fact, that will do this to your confidence. It will continue to do that. If every time you fail, you walk away, go the other direction, or you don't continue. So what happens then? You fail, You sit with yourself and with that failure or whatever, however you're feeling with your emotions, and you go, wow, this really sucks. I don't like how this feels. What happened? Okay. All right. Regroup. Now what? Okay, we move. And then maybe it happens again. But here's what's interesting about failure, especially in one category. Every time you fail, it gets easier and easier to pick back up.
Every time.
Every time you fail, it gets easier. Every time you fail and continue, it gets easier to continue every time.
Every time.
Because you go, oh, I've been here before. And you go, all right, that sucked last time. It's going to suck again. But I've done this. And here we go. And so it's this persistence, even in the face of failure, it is the one true, if I had to give you one thing from this list of 10 things, this is it.
We saved it for last.
Saved it for last, where I would leave with you. But persisting after failure and taking failure. And if you turn away from that and just go, oh, it's not for me. And every time you fail, you run away. You will never build the confidence that you need. Because guess what? Failure is a part of success, and it's a part of life, and it is part of growth.
So that means that we have to learn to prime ourselves for rejection. Because if we're going to fail, if we're going to lose, because that's what builds us, why not strengthen the fact that that's going to happen inevitably? Why not prime ourselves to be rejected, to even to ourselves?
Rejection is a form of failure, right? It's one of the forms.
Yes. And so I'm going to be rejected by that job if I apply to it. So what do I keep doing? Keep applying for jobs and get rejected. You know, we mastered this because we were in the entertainment industry where we were auditioning anywhere from 1 to 20 times a week. And that means up to 20 times a week, someone was telling me I was too tall, too small, too big, too little, too fast, too slow. I was something that wasn't perfect for this part. And the entertainment industry was a gift for me because even though they tore me apart on how I should be looking a certain way, and if they could just change this one little thing about me, they really taught me that I could get rejected 7,000 times, but those few little non-rejections, those moments of winning really was like, oh my gosh, I can still win after all this rejection. And those rejections built me to go, oh, wow, okay, I can just do a little bit different here or try the same thing again 5 times in a row and get different results. Sometimes people are like, man, if you just keep doing that same thing, Victoria, you got to change something. Maybe change your hair color, maybe get a nose job, maybe do something. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to keep doing me, and whatever is right for me, I'll fit in, but I'm going to keep trying. So I was ready to be rejected, and I was rejected so many times by people, by jobs, by friends, by partners. Rejection is part of my life build. Why we can sit here with such confidence is knowing that we were rejected so many times and we still are okay. We're still here okay.
And that's ultimately what you have to make that connection to is failure. Oh, I'm okay. Rejection, I'm still okay.
I'm okay.
Every time that happens, every time a setback happens, at the end of the day, you check back in yourself and you say, I'm okay. And what does okay mean? I'm alive. I'm moving forward. I've got what I need. And if we can continue to make those connections, then we will continue to build confidence. Now, here's the part of this that might be challenging for some. Some people, rejection and failures are coming at you left and right. And you're like, oh, I got the failures down, right? And you're like, yep, I'm hitting those failures and I'm nailing those. And guess what? You are on your path to confidence and growth because there is no doubt that you need to get through those in order to build confidence. But for other people, you're like, you know what? I'm real comfy right now. And I am so comfy that I don't really want to put myself in a position to be rejected or to fail or anything. And I'd rather just stay comfy.
Okay, when you say this, I can't help but think of this. Guys, when she says about wanting to stay comfy, I think of a woman who is pregnant. And I think of the baby who's in the belly. And let me tell you, they're so comfy in there. They're so comfy. They don't want to move. Their food is literally siphoned to them through the umbilical cord.
There is no comfort like a preborn baby just
in the
womb.
But guess what? They must, in order to get to the other side, go through the painful contractions of life and into the darkness of the birth canal. And that is why we believe that when you are primed for rejection, when you sit there and can go through all the failures and the contractions and the pain, you can come out on the other side to this glorious world in the arms of people who love you. and become something newer, bigger, and better. That is the birth canal of confidence. That is the persistence.
So failure is the birth canal to confidence. Got it. That's how we're going to sum up this whole thing. Failure is the birth canal to confidence.
Perfect. That's it.
It's the visual we all needed and know very well, but it's so true.
It
right?
is.
And we can't, you just can't emphasize it enough. So the question is, if you are not experiencing failures, if you're not open to failures, if there's not really like opportunities for rejection or for failure in your life right now, it probably means that the risks aren't being taken. And the question is, how then can you prime yourself for failure and for rejection? How can you prime yourself if you're not experiencing it? And there's really no other shortcut. And so here's the thing. I'm not saying that you need to go, make some like drastic thing that's going to change your life and just go, well, they said I needed to fail, right? I'm talking about we can do the smallest little failures and smallest little rejections that can build. And I spoke about this last week too, but this is why jujitsu is such a beautiful martial art, right? Because you're literally on a daily basis failing and you're getting tapped out. And as you grow, it's so humbling that you go, oh, yeah, I failed last week, and guess what? I'm gonna fail again. And I failed 3 times this roll, and I tapped and I tapped and I tapped. And every time you're tapping, you're getting better, but you're going, oh, I'm gonna go right back into it. So even that connection of training, tapping, continuing is training our brain that it's okay when you lose. You can lose and keep going. You can lose and keep going, not doing one jujitsu class or making it to your first, we'll call it master cycle class for our in-house students, your first advanced class, and you get tapped out and you go, oh, this isn't for me. No, it is for you. But guess what? You haven't put in the practice. You haven't made the progress. So we, just creating opportunities, whether it's trying something new, just trying something challenging, trying something you haven't done before, and setting yourself up and doing something you're not good at. My mom always told me, she's like, every child needs to do something they're not good at so they can feel what it feels like to not be good at something. Because at some point they will encounter that. They will encounter something they're not good at.
Our husbands have no idea what that's like.
I know. That's why I purposely made them dance. Okay. In the beginning, I was like, you're going to come to these salsa classes with me because I'm going to be better at you than something. Boom, there. And and even like our first dance, I made him learn choreography. He was getting so frustrated. I was like, this is what it feels like for your students who are just learning and don't know what they're doing. Just so you know.
Well, great. So let's summarize this from all the confidence building, cultivating
the 10
tips.
P's.
The 10 P's. Purpose. Find your purpose. If you don't have one, make one up and try it on.
Play. Have fun. Build confidence while you're doing it.
Practice makes progress. And you will progress because you're practicing. It's inevitable.
And productivity. Just keep doing things, and effort equals result. You're learning that.
Pride. Be proud of yourself. Look at what you did and own that pride, because that pride will ooze into confidence.
Seek peer and partner support in everything that you're doing. And if it's not there, find somebody else.
Pretend, because all kids build their confidence by pretending as well. Pretend whatever you want to be and then own it. It might become you.
Physicality. Find a way to physically embody the confidence that you're seeking.
Preparedness. Like any disaster, it's averted when we all have preparedness behind us.
And persistence. Persistence after failure. That's what we're going to leave you with. So that's it. The 10 P's to building confidence. And
how about you guys tell us which one's your favorite?
Yeah, which one? Wait, before I do, I want to remind you guys, we're going to be doing a giveaway in a moment, but it's only, for those on Instagram, it's only for our YouTube subscribers. So if you have not yet subscribed, you have a moment now. You can go to our link in bio, go to, it says subscribe. You can go there and just hit subscribe. And then Alia is going to check our subscribers. So even those who subscribe right now and then check out our, YouTube, then we can, we're going to pick somebody from our subscriber list and we're going to do a little giveaway.
Yeah. And if you can, while we do that, I'm going to show you what the giveaway will be. But can you write us and tell us what your favorite confidence cultivation point was?
And your shirt size.
And your shirt size.
If you want to enter the contest.
Progress. I'm so glad. Oh, cool. Play is my favorite. I take life. Yeah. Listen, we can all take life way too seriously because that's something that our parents taught, right? Be serious. Take this. Hey, be serious. That's what they've always been training us during a whole generation of seriousness and wars and all those things. So I can understand where that comes from.
It absolutely does.
Perfect. All right. I'm going to show you guys what you can learn. It is win.
Win.
This is a tank top.
It's my new favorite tank.
It's got these cute side holes that allow you to peek at whatever cute colored sports bra you're wearing. And it's army green, which is one of our favorite colors here at Gracie University. So, oh, you love the play. Perfect. So we're going to have Alia pick a winner right now. Alia, can you pick someone who gets to win this lovely tank? Persistence. I love that you love persistence.
It's the one, you guys.
It's a good one.
It is the one. If you got to leave with one of these,
purpose
it is that.
and pride. I can often only focus on my mistakes or failures, but I need to remember to recognize my successes. Yep. Yeah. Pride is a good one too. Purpose, play, persistence. I love it. Pretend. Yes.
It's fun to pretend.
It is good, right?
Find your alter ego this weekend. Try her on. See how you feel.
If you're looking for the YouTube channel, you can go into our bio and click on the link.
Yeah, go into
my some of
bio.
Or you can write Women Empowered Live if you're trying to look for the name of it. You can Google that into the search bar.
They won't give us a name yet.
Not yet, but we will.
Once we get a number of subscribers. Do we have anyone, Alia? And also, did we have names?
Physicality, also a good one. Physical embodiment. That's why the strengthening of all that your system is could do that for you. Persistence also. Oh, that's great. I agree. Yeah, that's awesome. And preparedness. Yes, preparedness is one that don't underestimate preparedness, my friends. If you can't do anything else on this list and you're hard pressed for something to figure out, you can start with preparedness. That is an easy one to prepare for everything a little bit too much, maybe meticulously. Thanks for sharing our videos in the channel. Play.
I got the winner.
Oh, who's getting my shirt?
Kathy Betrell, you got the shirt.
Congratulations,
Kathy. We'll send it to you.
Perfect.
We've
got your size, so we got it. Again, thank you guys so much for coming again this week, and we hope to see you again next week. We really appreciate your time, your interactions, and we hope that you build confidence step by step.
We will see you next week. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.